Welcome to Bones to Beards podcast with Brian and Chad, where we dive headfirst into the world of hunting and fishing with a healthy dose of humor and humility. Well, Chad, we have a guest tonight. Won't you go ahead and introduce him?
We got a special guest, Dip McMillian with Dippi Outdoors, our good buddy. We're excited to have him on here and tell us about what he's got going on.
Well, guys, I'm glad to be here. Dip McMillian from Dippi Outdoors. We've been having this non-profit organization 7 to 8 years now. The main thing about Dippi Outdoors, that's what we do. Just get kids involved in the outdoors, whether it's hunting or fishing. We also do monthly giveaways throughout the year. We give away hunting season. We give away rifles, free hunting trips. Everything's free through our organization. During the fishing season, we give away free fishing trips, all kind of prizes from our sponsors like Botwell Bait and Tackle. And our grand finale at the end at Hupper's Landing, we have a kids tournament. And that tournament has grew now from 6 kids from 6 years ago. Now in that tournament last year, we ended up with 169 kids. So
my goodness,
that's a lot. That's a lot of growth.
Big growth.
And and all your giveaways are to the kids, right?
Yes, sir. Everything we promote is for kids and kids only from high school and younger. 18 and younger, still in high school.
That's good. That's good.
So what was your motivation for doing Dippi Outdoors?
When I used to work in Baldwin County School Board back in, I'd say around about 2012, I got me an express boat, and I just bring it up to the school and go fishing after work. And some of the local kids that wanted to go with me, so I started taking them, get their permission from their parents, and that just blew up. And a good friend of mine named Jake Marcus told me, "Man, you've been taking all these kids fishing, man. You need to, we need to get Dippi Outdoors started, or a non-profit organization, and for other kids throughout the community in the county that see what's going on that don't get that privilege." I mean, he said, "Man, you're just a blessing of God to help these kids. I mean, you're the right guy that does it." So, and after that, me and him talked a little bit and got that going, and it has just taken off.
Yeah. How did you specifically set it up, though? Or did he do that part of it? He did most of that?
Yeah, Jake Marcus, he pretty much set up the, I guess, the nonprofit organization. And first, it really started just taking kids crappie fishing.
Right.
Like we said, we just put it on the internet. Who's willing to go? We pay for everything, and they need a rod and reel. We covered everything, and it just took off, and then it just grew, and we have a tournament every starting February if the river's right on the Tensas, and that every month we have a crappie tournament, and that tournament benefit the grand finale in August, which is the kids crappie tournament. And like I said, 6 years ago we had only 6 kids to show up, and it just trickled from there. And then the hunting side just came up 3 years ago, and it just took off.
Yeah. And that's one thing Chad and I have talked about. You know, we've talked to you before, and we've seen you at some different events and things like that, and we really want to get people involved in things. But, you know, you talk about the progression, and really, when does I know you got to worry about the water, because I grew up in Bay Minette, so I know what it means, that water being high and all that. But really, when do you first start the fishing part of it with the kids?
Usually, like you just said, when that water's high, you really can't because everything's flooded up there. But I like to start it around late March if the water's ready. But usually April is our go-to, and then we just start having them tournaments until August. But I like to start them early. Let's give us enough time to get things ready for the kids tournament, because the kids tournament just has grew, and we need all the help we can get. And like 9% of our tournaments, 10% of our tournament proceeds to the kids tournament.
Okay, that's good. When was your first full-fledged tournament? Do you remember that?
2017, 18.
So you've been doing this for a pretty good while then.
Yes, sir.
So, you know, and we always see on Facebook, and we see on the different, you know, social media sites, all the different things coming up. So it's out there. So we encourage kids to really get involved in that. and really encourage adults to get involved with that. Well, what's the next thing you got coming up? I know you just have the regular tournaments right now, right? Are they tournaments or are they just fishing trips right now?
No, right now we're gonna start our tournaments coming up in I want to say May, but the next event we got coming up for Dippi Outdoors is gonna be in May as well. But the registration starts this coming Thursday morning online. We're gonna have our first ever that I know of, a hunter education course class in Loxley.
Yeah, we talked about that the other day because we were talking about what is the age group. Now, when is the date on that actually?
The date on it is May the 3rd.
Okay.
But the online registration starts April the 3rd, which is going to be Thursday morning. And
okay.
The first 40 kids, they want to say 10 and above, but
10 years old.
Yeah, 10 years old. But I try to negotiate with them, and we don't like at Dippi Outdoors to turn no kids down.
Right.
So hopefully they'll work with me on that. But the first 40 kids get that first pick, and I try to tell people on Facebook and throughout the county, because it's been promoted for about 3 weeks now. Please make sure you be able to attend that.
Right.
That course. Don't take up a spot if you can't.
How long is the course?
The course will be from 8 o'clock that morning, that Saturday morning, to 5 o'clock that evening with the lunch break. And Dippi Outdoors are going to be provided all the snacks throughout the day, and we're going to be feeding all the kids and parents and everybody that attend.
Okay.
That's good.
What about, do you need adult help with that, or you got that covered?
We have, I have a few help right now, but we ain't turning down no help. We're going to be on the grill cooking, etc., and I'll be going to Campbell's, and they sponsor me too. We're going to be giving away some rifles and all kind of goodies at the end.
Yeah, we might can do some turkey calls on that when you think. Mm-hmm. Okay. That'd be all right for us to do that?
Y'all.
Okay, we'll do that so we can contribute some way. And, we want to get involved too, and we like for some other hunters and fishermen out there to really get involved with Dippi Outdoors because, it is a good thing, and it has done really well. Where's the registration on it? How can they find the site to actually register for this?
And I posted last night, Terry Foster, he's going to be the instructor. He's going to be giving me the online link tomorrow, and I will have it on my Facebook page on both of them, Dip McMillian and Dippi Outdoors.
So you'll have it on your personal and the Dippi Outdoors?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So if anybody's out there and y'all are listening to this, make sure if you can help or you've got a child, hopefully 10 and over, and get registered early, because I know based on other things that I've seen, it fills up quick.
Up fast. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about how your tournaments. I fished bass tournaments before, but tell me how we actually run a crappie tournament, especially with kids, because I have no clue about that. I've been to the buddy bass tournaments. I fished in some money type tournaments before for myself, but never with the kids. I know safety's a big concern.
Yes, sir.
And so tell us a little bit about that and kind of the whole process that you go through on putting on a tournament.
Especially the kids tournament, because I do adult tournaments too with kids, but the adult division, the kids don't count as them. So, but on the kids tournament only, you cannot launch your boat, and that's just our tournament, without that kid having a life jacket on full time.
Right. So the kids have the life jacket on the whole time they're fishing.
Whole time.
I agree with that. You should be the number one thing in that. But tell us a little bit more about the tournament.
Yeah, safety is our number one goal in all our kids tournaments. But usually on the morning of the tournaments, we we register the kid, and that kid get to weigh in, especially our August tournament. That kid get to weigh in 2 fish. One of those fish is a crappie, and the other fish is, we call it the bonus fish. That fish will pay out $100. That crappie, that biggest crappie, it may pay out $350 or $400. Just depends with all the sponsors and all the gas that we get. So it can get big. And we pay out 3 places on the crappie division. And on that bonus fish last year, I think we paid out 2 places. But every kid that register that morning, and they don't have to have a boat. We have I got about 15 guys come up there, and they have boats, and they take kids throughout the day. And if you get a kid 6 to 10, 8-year-old, they don't want to stay out there in just 2 or 3 hours.
Right.
Correct.
So I have guys for that to go spend about an hour and a half to get them occupied and catch a fish to weigh in and bring them back to the landing. And majority of those kids last year we took out on the boat, they came back on the landing. We had rods and reel for them. They just fished until the deadline.
Yeah, that's great because, a lot of kids don't have the opportunity. They don't have the boat. They don't have the fishing accessories. So that is a great thing that y'all do there with the kids, because what that does is that gives everybody a chance and an opportunity to enjoy something that people don't realize how enjoyable that is, to be on that river and to be in those woods. And that's what we have always saying, if you're not in the woods or on the water, you don't know what you're missing.
Absolutely.
And that holds true, especially for kids. I mean, we are in it for kids. We are always trying to take kids on youth weekend, for the kid, and we like going hunting too, so we like to get an early say on what we're listening to, especially for turkey hunting. But it's all about the kids, and that's great. That bonus fish, now, can that be anything or
anything?
Even a grinnell or anything like that? A
grinnell, a garfish, and I know that garfish can be mean sometimes. I try to tell them, please make sure that garfish don't bite nobody in the boat. So that bonus fish can be a bass, brim, grinnell, big catfish. I think the garfish won it last year. I got to look back in my notes.
So are y'all going off of biggest?
The biggest weight.
Okay. All right.
Do you have a lot of first-time fishers with the kids, like that have never fished before?
This year we did. Since I've been holding this tournament at Hubbard's, I have never seen that many kids come up there that wanted to fish on the bank, because myself, man, I was on the boat when I was 7, 8 years old. So some of those kids was kind of shy to get on the boat.
Right.
They're the first time ever fishing, so they just want to take it easy and
get
on the bank. We had over 30 kids fishing the bank.
Oh my gosh.
So this coming up year, I think we're going to probably be pushing 200 kids. So I'm gonna try to reach out and get some more help.
Yeah. And that's probably for your big tournament. You're talking about the one that's in August.
Yeah,
August the 9th at Hubbard's Landing.
All right.
And that tournament there, when you register that morning, I'll be there, and some more help from EMC. I'll be there, and once you register, that kid at the end of the day will automatic get a rod and reel free. Every kid will leave there with a rod and reel. In addition to other prizes, last year we gave away a 6x12 by right utility trailer, basketball goals, kayaks, boulder, game bird. I won't say James Boulder Game and Bird over there. I won't say in Lucedale. Mm-hmm. He gave away a awesome hunting package trip, shooting quails and pheasants.
My gosh, why couldn't I go back in time? Why wasn't there a Dippi Outdoors when I was growing up? I mean, we fished a lot. We were on the river a lot, but we didn't have no prizes like that now. I mean, you getting up there with that, so that's some good stuff there.
It's been a blessing. We got some awesome sponsors that giving back, just like y'all, and just giving back to the community, giving back to the kids, because the kids are our future. That's my motto. The kids are our future.
Well, one thing I like about it is, if kids are hunting and fishing, most of the time they're staying out of trouble.
Absolutely.
Because there's too much for kids to get into nowadays. And so if you get them in the outdoors and get them away from some of that stuff, they're out of trouble.
Absolutely.
Good deal. So that tournament, we have all these. The other ones are tournaments too, right? So they're smaller tournaments.
Smaller tournaments.
So what makes that one different than your smaller tournaments? Do we have to go through the smaller tournaments to get to this big tournament in August?
No.
How do you do that?
The smallest tournament usually just, back in the day, for sure, it usually raise money for that August tournament. Because back then, we didn't have that many sponsors. We had only about 3 to 4 sponsors.
Right.
So now I think we got about 70.
My God.
Yes, God's been good to us and just keep on blessing us. And August tournament too, like I said, about all the prizes and stuff. So the March, April, May, and June, they don't have that many prizes. we make sure when if the kid come fish those tournaments with their parents, we make sure that kid leave with something like a pack of jigs or anything.
Right. That's good.
Yeah.
That's a lot of information about Dippi Outdoors. And you said you've gotten into the hunting part of it. I saw that the last thing I saw, y'all were squirrel hunting. Now, how was that?
That squirrel hunting this year was the first time we ever did it, and it just turned out amazing. I was kind of nervous because I told my guys. They contacted me, and they said they'll be there. And that Friday hit, and I just kept getting phone calls after phone calls, and I said, oh, man, Lord, please send me enough guys. And we ended up having, I think, close to 60 kids. And it turned out right. All my guys showed up plus more, and every kid got a chance to go to the Delta. And it wasn't all about killing. We didn't, I'll say, out of that many kids, I think we turned in 20-some squirrels, but it wasn't about the killing. It was about the camaraderie in some of these kids, they never seen that upper Delta, those big cypress trees.
Right.
That's something.
It was just more to it.
If you've never seen that, that is something to behold there. You know, I was lucky. I grew up on that, and I used to love to bump those cypress stumps with that old rubber worm and everything, and those bass just come up and attack it. I mean, it's a different world up there. I mean, we used to hunt up there. I mean, we hog hunted. We had a deer camp up there, and it was fun.
Yeah.
It really was. Well, let's actually get into crappie fishing a little bit. Chad and I, whether you know it or not, I used to crappie fish some in the Delta a little bit, and we just kind of troll with it. Now, I don't know if that's how y'all do it. You probably do it different. But tell us a little bit how you crappie fish, because I heard you're the best crappie fisherman up there on the Delta. So we want some secrets. Now, you don't have to tell us where, but we really need to know how to crappie fish.
I'm not the best, but
I don't know. Every time I see a Facebook post,
You can be humble, Dip.
Yeah, you can let us know, because there's a lot of full ice chest in the picture. I know that.
Yeah.
Is there a limit?
30 per person.
How many per person?
30 per person, and got to be 9 inches. Me, myself, I don't keep a fish unless it's at least 10 or 10 and a half. My dad, he's from the old school now. He'll keep it 9. I don't keep that 9 because he want to scale them. But if you if you fillet a 9-inch crappie, you don't got nothing.
Right.
10 and a half, you got your nice fillet.
Right.
So all my fish, if you see in the pictures, it's going to be at least 10, but most of them 10 and a half and on up to 14 to 15 inches. Fishing that Delta now, it can be tricky sometimes.
It don't look tricky when I see all these posts, and it's like there's not just one post every 6 months either. It's post after post.
I know.
You're catching some fish now.
Now, I have paid my time too now.
We know that.
I have paid my time, but when you start doing it and keeping up the notes, like I tell everybody, once you start fishing regularly, keep up with those notes, because you come back the same year, those fish are going to be somewhat in that pattern.
Right.
After the spawn, which should be any day now. I'm glad that spawn should be gone. After that spawn, you can catch fish on Tensol in 6 to 12 foot of water on structure till right now, all the way till late November.
Wow.
So if you got any kind of good fish founders, I recommend a hummingbird or a low ranch. I have a low ranch. If you can find structure in about 8, I like to zigzag in 8 to 12 foot. But 6, you can catch them in 6 foot too. But once you find that structure in that area, those fish gonna be loaded.
And you're just sitting right there on them. So when I went, we were trolling. Is that a thing anymore, or is?
I think trolling still is a thing. I like trolling, to be honest with you. I like the they call it spider rig.
That's what we did. We had a bunch on the back, and we just slow trolled. And I'm trying to think where we were. We were in some creek, and it was wide enough.
I love trolling. I mean, people get with me and like, hey, if you still trolling, you got all those electronics on your boat, the live and all that. I grew up spider rigging, and I'm not going to turn. I will always be a spider rigger. I mean, because I love catching fish. So once you get on, like you just said, when you get on a bed of crappie, they're going to be stacked. I love seeing 2 or 3 poles go down at one time.
Yeah.
Bam, bam.
Right.
I mean, that's fun. And plus, I take a lot of kids fishing too. A lot of kids don't know how to pitch that jig out there.
Right.
And really like a bass fishing. So
Right.
it's easy for them to see that pole go down, and they can set the hook in those fish.
Right.
So That's another reason why I like spider rigging too.
Yeah.
Well, tell us about, when you find the structure, tell us about the actual fishing rig that you have. What type of reel are you using, pole? What type of jig do you have on the end? What is your best go-to on that?
My setup now, I get it from, like I said, about what Bait and Tackle is an awesome rod. It's an ACC. If I'm spider rigging, it's going to be an ACC 12 foot and a 14. I like to have my 14s out in front of my trolling motor because you don't want that. If you get using a 12 or 10 foot, it's going to be too close on that trolling motor. That's going to spook the crappie. So the farther you away from that trolling motor, the better you are on the front poles.
Right.
So my first two, I'm using 4 poles on each side. In total, going to be 8 poles. So my first 4 poles out front is going to be 14s, and on the sides it's going to be 12. And I'm going to be using minnows and jigs. So some days those fish is not going to bite a minnow. I don't care what people say. That minnow can be swimming around there. That fish will go the other way. Sometimes those fish up there like color, like a chartreuse tail.
Yeah.
And I got a good sponsor called ATX Lure. I'm sure y'all probably seen that me advertising him. The guy's awesome. He make a good bait called the Dippi 10 Salt Special. That's like a shad color, but with a chartreuse tail to give those fish that reaction bite.
Right.
And if I'm instructing 10 foot, like I tell people, you own fish, but you're fishing too deep. If you're in 10 foot of water and that structure is in 8 foot, you need to be fishing right above that structure and about 7 to 6 foot for that crappie to come up there and hit it. If you below him, he's not gonna hit it. He like to come back and chase that bait.
So you got to have that bait above him.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And I'm fishing with a on my minnow rig. I'm fishing with a number 2 or number 4 sickle hook. I like that sickle hook with that bend in it. You don't lose many fish with a sickle hook.
Right.
They got a crazy looking shape. It's about what sell those too. But some people love the regular. I forgot what they call them, the regular hook. But not me.
Just a regular J hook.
A regular J hook.
Yeah.
And I use a number 4, number 5 split shot about 6 inches above that hook. Mm-hmm. And that makes a lot of difference. That's when I'm spider rigging. Now, if me and you come on a boat, or me and you, we can cast to them with my live scope.
Right.
Now, the way you like the bass fish, you will love that.
Yeah, that's kind of what I want to do. That's, I'm just kind of.
You still using a jig with that?
Well, yes. I got 2 or 3 jigs that I call the flat tail with a baby blue shad, and I use a special hook that I got from Atmore. He makes me. I'm very particular on my hooks, the way they look. That's just me. Sometimes I like them eyeballs in the hook, and it probably don't mean nothing. Just make my brain feel good if I got it on there.
Right.
And we just, like I said, I see about 3 crappies off to themselves. Usually, if you see a crappie this time of the year, off to himself in the water column, we're in 10 foot of water, he's about 3 or 4 foot below that water, let me tell you, that's going to be a big crappie. And that's the ones I try to target with my live scope if I'm single pole fishing.
Right.
So if you're a bass fisherman, you would love the live scope fishing.
See, I've never
done it.
I sold my bass boat, and when I started coaching football, it's like, that was it. I don't have time to bass fish anymore, and I just get to go every now and then, and it ruined it. I had all these kids at my house, my kids, and what's always got to go first? The bass boat's got to be sold. So that got sold. I'm never fishing. I'm doing with kids sports and cheerleading and all that stuff. So I kind of, it was worth it, but, I still love to have the old bass boat. I am itching to get back on the Delta, and I've in my stage now, I'm really thinking about a bass boat. But Chad and I, we have gotten in so much to this inshore fishing in saltwater, and it is really, it's another itch too that you always got to scratch.
Right.
And, our big thing now is we're trying to, we've done the redfish and the white trout and the speckled trout and all that, even some triple tail. We'd like to get more on that. But our big thing now is we're trying to get some flounder. And that's the big thing that we want to go after next. And when I was growing up as a kid, and, we lived in Bay Minette, and I remember my dad, I would go to sleep, he put me to sleep early, and he had an old gigging boat. And when we had that north wind coming, He would wake me up and down to Fort Morgan and around Bear Point, that area, that's where we went. And I remember gigging some fish, and my gosh, that was fun. And then they got into the net thing, and then it was beating the water and do all that. You know, they don't allow that stuff anymore. But then it wasn't fun anymore. It was like work. You know, I want to go gigging, you know. So, but it's, and, you know, I really would like to kind of get into crappie. I need to get me another boat to get into doing that. But tell us what when you put in that river, all right, there's a lot of river up there.
A lot of river.
You know, how would anybody know where to go? There's so much river up there. I mean, it's just you know, you don't have to tell me where, but what should a person that's trying to get into crappie fishing, what should they be looking for?
And that plays a big part on what you got on your boat too. If
they don't have that equipment, you know, because I know you hadn't always had this equipment.
No, not at all.
So how did you fish when you didn't have this equipment?
My depth finder, people laugh at me, but that's what I had. My depth finder was a 12-foot pole in my boat. And
we can relate to that.
So if I can reach the bottom, I knew I can judge from that pole. And but mostly back then, I just used to find logs or any kind of stump, stick it up in the water, and just check it at all depth. I know a lot of guys on that tinsel right now do not have no electronics on their boat, and they just beat the banks on these logs and tree limbs and vines. People don't realize, do not pass vines up in 6
that are
to 8 foot
just
of water.
hanging in the water.
Hanging in the water. We have catch limits off of vines hanging in the water. Just simple stuff like that.
So it's almost like you're looking for the same structure like you're looking for bass fishing. Kind of close, right?
Very close. Very close.
A little bit deeper water, though. I know that I like to run that rubber worm up against that stump that's in like 4 inches of water, then just barely drag off of it, and bam, there he is right there. So I know that's different for crappie. So you got to be a little deeper for that.
I'm going to tell you, I have caught a lot of bass and seen a lot of bass on my live scope in 6 to 8 foot of water, while some of them guys, like you said, some of them just beat the banks.
Right.
Those bass sometimes stack up like crappie too.
Oh, yeah.
6 to 8 foot of water. I didn't know that. I didn't have live scope.
We got up there one time and we were fishing. It was actually a buddy of mine, and my wife actually went with us. And we were bass fishing, and and it looked terrible against the bank, but you could tell that was the log landing where they clear cut. So out about 15 to 20 yards, and maybe not even that far from the bank, there was structure down there, and we were catching 6-7 pound bass in that river. And all of a sudden, it starts thundering somewhere, and we're like, you know how it is. If it storms on that river, if you hear it, you better get your butt out there.
Yeah.
Don't say one more fish.
Yeah, but that's what we kept doing. We kept saying, one more fish, and we got to get back to Cliff's Landing, So we're heading back that way. We're all the way, we're up a good bit, so we got to get all the way back to Cliff's. But we were hammering them, and they were huge fish, and they were, just like it said, in that depth of water, and we waited a little bit too late. And my wife will not go back. Well, she actually went with us one time, but she was looking at the weather before she went. And it actually rained on us. We got caught in a rainstorm, and I don't know if she's ever going to go back.
That's a bad feeling.
But we come back to that main river to get back to the landing. Oh, my God. You know how that boat, that front end is going up, and it's slamming down. And I never thought she'd get back on that river again.
That place get rough.
Yeah. So we're looking for the same type structure and all that, huh?
Same. And those bass, and I tell you, last year I caught those bass in Dennis Lake. I mean, everybody know what Dennis Lake is.
Right.
And off a channel in 6 to 8 foot of water, and they were just hundreds of them. It was just like a crappie. It was crappie and bass just mixed in together, just feeding on those shads.
Wow.
I mean, so
a while ago you said you were using minnows. So is that kind of what you're using, or are you using a different type of minnow?
Minnows, I usually use minnows in the summertime, but once it get around October, November, December, and Miss Bout was, she'll tell you, because I buy majority of my minnows from her, I stopped using minnows and just using jigs, because those fish are getting ready they're getting ready for the winter, and they are biting anything come in sight. So, and then again, I don't want to be sticking my hand in the minnow bucket in 30 to 40 degrees.
Right.
Not me.
Well, here's the biggest question, and this is Chad and I's biggest question. When are we going fishing?
Let's go. Let's go.
I mean, you give us a date.
Well, you got to give me a little longer.
Get you a little longer.
You got to give me a little longer.
Yeah.
Me and him are going, and we'll tell you about the trip.
I like
Y'all
that
can
idea.
do that. Y'all can do that.
So,
We need to plan.
Plan us a date. Get us a date. I know you're busy. I know you got something every weekend, but if you can squeeze us in,
we'll definitely go. That's a fact.
let's go, because we talked about it before, and we kind of went our separate ways a little bit. So we've seen each other a few times in between then. But we got you on the show now, so we have.
This the year we're gonna make it happen.
We're gonna put you. This ain't the year. This is like coming up in a few weeks.
Let's do it. Yeah. Like I tell people, my favorite time of the year is when the school getting out. And it's hot now. Don't get me wrong. When school getting out, it's time to catch big fish. I mean, those big fish, especially on the Tensas and the Mobile River. I got some hunting holes over there. I'll show you my phone in a few. It's just, man, that water temperature get about 85 to 90 degrees, and it's just like piranhas. They biting anything in sight, man.
That's crazy.
It's very crazy.
So you'll be good by May.
Yeah.
By May.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do this in May.
In May.
All right.
Go ahead and write it down.
We're
We going in May.
gonna hold you to it. Y'all heard that now. Everybody that's out there listening, y'all heard that. So we appreciate you coming on here
yes,
today. We've had a great time talking to you, and it's a lot of information. So if you've got kids, make sure, if you want to get registered for the hunting thing that's coming up.
Check him out on Dippi Outdoors on Facebook.
Check him out on Facebook. There's always stuff being. So make sure if you don't follow his page, go like and follow his page, Dippi Outdoors. He needs your help. So if you're an adult and you're out there listening, and if there's anything that you can help Dippi with, he's always doing things for the kids. And, it doesn't have to be money. It can be time. I mean, he's always looking for somebody. And you let Chad and I know, too, because we want to help out a lot more with some stuff.
That's correct.
We've done some small things, but we want to step it up a little bit, too. So, but we appreciate you coming on today.
Oh, I appreciate y'all tremendously.
All right. Well, as we always say, if you're not in the woods or on the water, you don't know what you're missing.